In this video, we're going to derive the three Pythagorean identities, which are sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1, tangent squared theta plus 1 equals secant squared theta, and 1 plus cotangent squared theta equals cosecant squared theta. Now, to derive the first formula of sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1, we're actually going to start with an arbitrary right triangle here. As you can see, I labeled each side as the hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent with respect to the angle here, theta. Now, first we're going to scale each side of the triangle by hypotenuse. Alright, so notice that we can actually simplify a little bit here. Hypotenuse over hypotenuse will just give us 1. So now we have this new scale triangle where our hypotenuse is 1, our right leg is opposite over hypotenuse, and our bottom leg is adjacent over hypotenuse. Well, notice here, by definition, opposite over hypotenuse is sine of theta. Now, if you don't believe me, we can actually take sine of theta here, which will be opposite over hypotenuse over 1, which is the same as opposite over hypotenuse. So we can actually label this side as sine theta. And we can take the same exact approach with our bottom leg here, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is the same as cosine theta. So now we relabeled our triangle as 1, sine theta, and cosine theta. Now this is still a right triangle, so it must follow the Pythagorean theorem. That is, sine theta squared plus cosine theta squared equals 1 squared, or sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1, which was our first Pythagorean identity. Now, to get the other two identities, all we have to do is either divide by sine squared theta or cosine squared theta. Now, I'll actually start with cosine squared theta. We'll divide each term by cosine squared theta here. So now we have sine squared theta over cosine squared theta, which is tangent squared theta. Cosine squared over cosine squared is just 1. And then 1 over cosine squared is secant squared theta. And that's our second formula. Right here. So our third formula, all we have to do is divide every term by sine squared theta, which we'll do right here. Alright, so now we just need to simplify here. Sine squared theta over sine squared theta is just 1. Cosine squared theta over sine squared theta is cotangent squared theta. Then 1 over sine squared theta is cosecant squared theta. And that's your last Pythagorean identity. So, there you have it. These are the three Pythagorean identities. So, all you really need to do is remember 1 here, the main one, which is sine squared plus cosine squared theta equals 1. And then to derive the other two formulas, all you have to do is divide each term by either cosine squared theta or sine squared theta.